I recently had a friend come to visit, and he had a couple of absolutely gorgeous matched high-grade Chinese calves. And we talked, I decided I was going to go ahead and get him set in 18 karat gold for him. Big dilemma being, I didn't have my ingot mold that I used for years. No telling where it went. Anyway, I did remember that I used to do what's called sand casting, which is what we did. I'm going to give you some insight on the sand and some of the molds I made years ago. First thing I'll do is I'll show you some of the sand. The sand's basically a consistent grain that's been mixed with glycerin. It's pretty not palatable, malleable, and I used it for quite a few years to make my ingots for like silver bracelets and stuff like that. Homemade ingot molds, or molds, not ingot molds. This is just made out of brass sheet, and then there's a sawed out area here for when you pour the metal in. Here's another one for bigger things. This is basically pecan, and then looks like 1/8" steel, that just scrap stuff, and then again the pour hole. And here's another one. Looks like it was made out of redwood or pine, one of the two. Again, the only place you need to worry about heat is where you're going to pour your metal. And here's some of the old patterns for when we were doing like silver bracelets, various things, going for sheet. The patterns, I have these marked with how much silver it takes to fill them. Typically, if you're wanting to do like this long one, I'm not going to pack the frame because I show packing the frame later in the video. You would take the pour side down, you place this to where it stuck out just a little bit, and then you'd fill this with sand. Pack the sand real hard, and then flip it over and you pull that pattern out of there. I do have images in the video that I'm working on right now. I do have images of pouring and tying it off, and everything involved in getting it ready, everything ready to go. I'm mostly showing these to the people so they can see how easy it is to make a frame, how well the sand works with pretty much anything. I told Greg that maybe sometime in the not too distant future, we'll do a actual pattern of something, sandcasted, like a belt buckle, I don't know, we'll figure something out, to further your insight on using sand for casting. Okay, one of the things we forgot to do when we were doing this video, I alloyed out fine gold to 18 karat gold. I think I have a measurement right here. Nope. Anyway, I will note in the video that the weights for the alloy. I do have still pictures of the fine gold scrap jewelry that I started with, and then the fine silver, copper that was added to the weight. And then from that point forward, we have video of melting the gold down to 18 karat and pouring it into the ingot. So I will put still images of the beginning product. Okay, before I forget, when you alloy gold, 18 karat, 75% gold content. And by weight, when we melt this gold that you're going to see, or make this 18 karat that you're going to see in the video, I started with 32.22 grams of fine gold. I then broke that down into grains so I could get a better, more precise measurement in my weights. That 32.22 grams is 497 grains. And then we added 124 grains of fine silver and 124 grains of pure copper, thus giving us 621 grains of finished 18 karat gold. We did the math afterwards and it came out perfect. So that's just to help you. If you're going to do alloying, the more precise you can be in your measurements as you're getting your metals together. In saying 75% gold, that doesn't mean that you add 20, like say you started out with an ounce. So if you wanted 75% gold and then the others, you don't put 12.5% by weight, the silver and the copper in there. You end up adding more than what you think would be the right thing. You have to have it where when you do the math afterwards, it shows that you have 75% gold in your end product. Anywho, here's a little sample of this has been rolled out and stuff, but that's 18 karat self-alloyed. So I do, in the video again, you'll see the ingot and stuff. Cool. Greg and I are going to start putting together a series of kit videos. You know, we're going to do some smithing videos and this, that, and the other, but I haven't done a sand cast 25 years, maybe a little longer. A sand cast, you can buy the sand at the supply house. It's a mixture of glycerin in a same size sand, same grain size. Down here in the mold frame, I put the sand in and I've got it laying on top of an ingot, a shape for an ingot. So go ahead and show down there. Anyway, I had already made an ingot space and I decided it was not quite big enough for the ounce of gold we're getting ready to pour. So this is just a real heavy piece of steel. You just really push that sand down, super compact. You don't have to have the frame full. You know, the better you get it compressed against the form you're using, the better your ingot's going to come out. I couldn't find my regular ingot mold, so I guess that's lucky for people that are watching this. Anyway, just push really hard, get it compact. And there's where your void's going, that void's where you're going to, or that's going to make the void for the ingot. There's a couple of cracks here, so I'm going to push it a little bit more. Anywhere there's a void, the gold's going to go in. Gold or silver, whatever metal you're pouring. And the cleaner your void is, the better off you are. Okay, so let's see. That looks pretty good. The little lines here and stuff, they're cracks, but even if gold goes out and goes and fills that, when you pull your ingot out, those will come out with it. So then you just pull that out carefully. I didn't like that, obviously, so I'll see if I can't get it to stay. It popped again. Okay, what you want to do is avoid as much as possible having like these little breakouts. I'm getting kind of impatient, so I'm just going to go ahead and cast this thing. My advice to you, I just looked at this piece of wood and I didn't have a slight taper on the edges. And this stuff on the sides doesn't really matter, but it kind of does. You want that to be clean inside. And then you just take I should have explained this. This frame's just made out of soldered together brass. And then my knife's not coming out of my pocket. Where you're gonna pour, you just make a little valley there with a knife. And that gives you where your gold's gonna drop in. Okay, then, this is just a piece of aluminum. Thin aluminum. I probably recommend using a little bit thicker, but I kind of got where I needed to get some stuff done. So anyway, you just lay this a little above where you're going to pour, like that. So when you have it at an angle and you pour, it hits the aluminum and goes right in the hole. And I just have a piece of cotton string here. And because you're wanting the gases to be able to escape some, you don't have to have it super tight. And then this goes in a tray, so if you do like I have done one at a time, if you miss your pour or it overflows or something, you catch all your gold in the tray. So now we'll go over and look at what I'm getting ready to melt. This is pure gold jewelry that I bought in Hong Kong years ago, or like bracelets and earrings and stuff, and over the years they just kind of, the links and stuff will break down. Anyway, I just took all the fine gold, it's roughly an ounce of fine gold, and then to alloy it to 18 karat we added 12.5% copper and 12.5% fine silver. And now what I'll do is get ready to fire it up and melt it. Okay, I don't know why I didn't do it years ago. I'm burning a mixture of oxygen and propane now, and when I melt, I use a full-size oxyacetylene torch, and I'm not really sure what size tip this is, but you'll see the flame. Anyway, you back off a little bit, just warm things up. I have powdered borax in there for the flux to float off any impurities. the silver melted first. Good, watch what you're doing. Go ahead and get all your metals melted. You can see the borax floating on the top of that. What that borax does is if there was any minor impurities in that, it's going to float it off on top of the gold. Catch on the side of the crucible. You can see it back here. There's a bunch of it on the back side. And then you just start mixing it. Go ahead and back off, Sam. And when you make your pour, you want to pour pretty fast. One of the tricks a friend of mine taught me is when you are holding this crucible on the wooden handle, you can kind of feel that metal bubbling in that crucible. Once you feel it bubble a little bit, just bring it over and pour real quick.
It's so exciting.
It's been a long time since I did a gold. Some tweezers to pick it up with. Okay, we just went from a bunch of scrap I couldn't really use, and let me find something to pick it up with because it's still harder than that. We went from a bunch of scrap to that ingot. Which is muy bueno for not doing it for 25 or 30 years. So I'm gonna let that cool down some. I'll clean it a little bit and then we'll go into the next step. Okay, after you cast a lot of the sand, or not a lot of the sand gets burned and gets black and discolored, and all you have to do is scrape all that away. It doesn't matter if a little bit of it stays in there, but the sand's so cheap, I usually get 99% of it down. And when you get a dog over here on this side, rattling its ears, trying to steal the show. Okay, anyway, then once you get it clean like that, then you just open your can up and push all the sand back in your can. So that's all this is all the sand that actually got wasted. So hardly any. So sandcasting is really cool and efficient, and you can make intricate patterns. I even one time took a scallop shell and I made a double-sided sand pattern and then cast it in silver. It came out perfect. I've got it somewhere kicking around the property. So it's fun, if you're kind of new at things and want to play around with stuff. Sandcasting's fun. I prefer other ways now for ingots, but there you have it. Okay, I pickled this a little bit, make sure there wasn't too much junk on it. I wire brushed it real good. Pre-rolling it out. I'm going to have to file these spots where the sand broke out, of course the gold went into it. So now I'm going to go ahead and file the edges relatively clean. I'll check in here to see if there's any like copper residue or anything. If there is, I'll file that out of the way. And then I'll show the next step once I have it filed. Okay, what you're trying to do is get most of the, like if you have little low spots or something, bubble indentation. I'm mostly just trying to get that excess that went to where the sand broke out of the way. And obviously when you're working with gold, you want to do your best to keep every little microscopic piece that falls off. So that's one side. Flip it over. Your paper, Danny. Danny, your paper. Oh, thank you. People going, those guys are whispering at one another. I leave some of the funnies in them. You know, and typically I wouldn't have this, but in my old age I get impatient sometimes. I just didn't really feel like repacking that mold. And the main reason when I pulled that out that it popped that edges off is that was one of the early patterns I made, and I forgot to put it's called a draft, slight angle on both sides of that, and you put the widest part up so when you lift on it, it immediately lets go below because it's narrower down there. So just a hint or a word to the wise, when you make your patterns, you need to have what's called a draft on it. Getting that gold everywhere. Okay, and then the end that hit bottom, I'll go ahead and file, because there's like little spongy looking golden stuff there, which you can see, right? Basically, you're just trying to get clean edges. That's probably clean enough. Okay, once you have the edges cleaned up, when you start rolling out an ingot, if you don't do what I'm getting ready to do, and it still might happen, the edges split. So I've got two different hammers here. This is just really smoothed out, polished, shaped like that. hammer those edges down. Watch out, I'll get a blow to this. You really, you're better off hammering them a little bit too much than not enough. There was an air bubble here that I almost hammered out. And then you also want to hammer the face. Not like this one better. And you can see in here that it's sunk in when it was poured, because it's just hammering out here. This side will be pretty flat. The main reason you do this, there's an inconsistency in, I'll just say, the compactness of the gold. You know, it was hotter down here when it hit, and then up in here, it was a little bit cooler. Even if it's only 10, 20 degrees, there's going to be a slight difference in how that gold is. So I'm going to go ahead and anneal this, and then I'll get the rolling mill out and we'll start rolling on it. And I guess I'll have Greg show annealing too. I'll just move over here. Okay, when you anneal something, you're just relaxing the metal. You know, you just back and forth, and what I'll do is I'll heat this ingot up until it starts turning a slight red. A lot of times people don't anneal enough, and they also over anneal and they have a melted pile all of a sudden. And when I get to what I think is close, I'll go ahead and move the flame out of the way, and with Greg videoing as close as he is, you'll see the red hang behind. See how it's a little red when I move the flame away? That's about the color you want it. They make a tray called an annealing tray, and it's got pebbles in the bottom. It's a circular metal pan, and then it's got a cover on it to keep the outside light from coming in, so you can actually see the metal coming up to the red. But I've done it so many times, I more go by the look of the change in the look of the actual metal when it's coming up to heat, and I just know when it's going to start going red. And that one had a perfect red. It's kind of a cherry glow. And then you just let it air cool. You do not quench it. I don't care what anybody tells you. Okay, when I get ready to roll something, I'll stick the piece in here, and then I'll start turning the dial up top until I can feel it caught. It won't go through. So then I might turn it down a little bit, and then I'll start rolling through. come through, flip it over, flip it around, come through. And right now I'm moving it down maybe 4/1000ths of an inch each time. So it's not real quick, but the malleability of gold it's pretty amazing. Anyway, I finally got a pretty good bite on it, so. And once I have it where it gives me quite a bit of resistance, I might go through 3 or 4 times before I move it down again. Anyway, you can get an idea already that it's getting real smooth. You know, it was all hammered out here a couple of minutes ago. So I'm going to continue to roll it down to where I have a consistent thickness, and then we'll go ahead and I'll go wide till I get it as wide as I want it. Again, we probably won't video the whole thing, but you're getting the general idea of how to use a rolling mill.